And look at the time where Obey started to lose that. During that Gold Fury Portal Demon thing, it was Robin was sitting on heavy mace. And if he doesn't spend that 800 gold, you can make the argument that maybe he finishes off Jotun's Wrath, and the Jotun's Wrath with the CDR, extra power, and pen is enough to turn that fight, because it could have been, it was a fairly close fight. It just kind of waterfalled in favor of Rival. Either way, Obey is going to have to make some adjustments. You heard the caster say that this picks and ban phase is going to be the deciding factor for Game 3. Certainly has been for the first 2 games of the set, and Obey deciding to stick in that second pick position.
And this set currently being tied 1-1. We saw it earlier on where the first game Obey was just absolutely manhandling Rival, but second game Rival, they're no slouches, making sure they made the necessary adjustments between Season 3 and Season 4, and they've certainly come to play. Their objective control has just improved so much over these months.
Same bans thus far, Osiris and Fafnir. Rival realizing that Osiris for maniaKK, just a little bit too much to deal with. Kalas doesn't really care what they ban, but I think he really does. Vulcan is going to be that ban. So these players seem to agree with what the casters were saying. Vulcan seems to be a priority pick, at least in this matchup.
Yeah, it seems Rival has first picks in mind that don't include Vulcan, and Obey will easily be able to pick that up, assuming that Rival doesn't first pick it. So a great ban. Also, the Osiris ban works out really well because maniaKK loves to win lane. The Athena ban, I'm not sure it did too much last game, but it's a good throwaway ban, assuming like Kalas wants to play it again.
Right, this leaves open Cernunnos, this leaves open Terra, Chunga, Cabrakan,
Ravana.
Yeah, Robin. There's a lot. Rival has been playing the Robin a little bit. They played it a little bit earlier on this weekend. That was first pick by Obey in Game 1, but it's going to be the Cernunnos here for Vote. And with how much success this Hunter's seen, I can't say I blame this pick.
No, not at all. Vote did a great job at it in game number 2, Ataraxia in game number 1. This is a highly contested pick. Vote's going to see what he's able to do with it for the second time in a row heading into this very important game number 3.
Terra, the quick selection for Obey. I think everyone could have expected that with EmilZy. But Serqet was banned away, I believe, both of the first 2 sets. In fact, she was both by Obey and Rival, this time left open, and it's going to be CaptainTwig taking the assassin into the jungle.
I wouldn't be surprised if Rival countered the Serqet with an early Capri before the secondary ban phase. Either that or another defensive support. You're looking at potentially Geb or Sylvanas.
I think the Kepri would be a really strong pick here. You mentioned that that really stands out to you for Kalas Vetium with that pick. This could work very well against the Serqet.
As much as the Kepriel might be useful to help mitigate Serqet's ability to dive the backline and look for picks, I think it'd be very scary being Kalas, like having the ability that CaptainTwig would have as Serqet to pick him on cooldown.
Sure.
That's what I know. That's Rival's strategy mainly. They go for picks mainly. That's like they look for sneaky Gold Furies and picks, and they love the Serqet for that. But I'd be scared as Kalas against them.
And not only that, you're looking at the Terra's Blessing combination with the Serqet initiating. That 40% cooldown reduction is going to allow Serqet to ambush on in, use her ultimate, and get that huge CDR and use it again as the relics are still going to be on cooldown for Rival.
Cabrakan locked in for Rival. Could go to the jungle, but it's been Deathwalker every time we've seen Rival pick it. And like we saw from that first replay from Game 2, definitely has the wherewithal to play that in the solo lane. Poseidon here for Wlfy, mainly looking for the cripple against a Serqet, I imagine, Vetium?
Yeah, although it would be hard to confirm most of the time considering how slippery a Serqet would be.
Also against the Terra, though. The Terra's combinations would be completely hindered if caught under the cripple. You can't be able to dash through one of those monoliths. You're not going to be able to get the damage over time effect or the second dash.
Yeah, especially if you catch Terra without her passive online where she can't be knocked up. Getting that Kraken onto her would be huge early game while she doesn't have a lot of protection.
Interesting. The Morrigan early on here for Obey, and Obey seem to pick this whenever they have a specific combination in mind, whether it be Game 2 there, where they're trying to steal Fear No Evil away from iceicebaby. This one, I wonder if they're looking to double Serqet ult someone, trying to get as much just absolute true damage that isn't getting peeled away as possible onto a priority target.
Or even maybe double Terra's Blessing after one of them fades away. That could be another option to just help Obey Alliance really accelerate these team fights.
We still haven't seen, I think, the pinnacle of Morrigan play yet, and that's what's really exciting is you think about things like double Terra ult, double Serqet ult, and you're like, yeah, that is so crazy.
Double Medusa ults that we even saw earlier on. Which way do you really turn? You're guaranteed to get petrified out of one angle.
That was one of the funnier aspects of that one. The one I'm still waiting for, double Giannis ult.
That would be too much. I think Obey picks the Morrigan here because I think if Rival picks HughZ, then it's great for Obey. They already have the Terra, which means picking Morrigan is already good, but if Rival picks HughZ, it's even better.
And Terra against HughZ has some good applications. If you use that Terra's Blessing before Fear No Evil goes off, those little ticks from Fear No Evil basically guarantee that big burst heal from Terra's Blessing. Ares and Raven Obey's 2 bans here, and Medusa and Bologna. It's Team Rival banning away the Bologna. That tells me without a doubt that Cabrakan's going to the solo lane.
Absolutely. Considering that, like you mentioned, Cabrakan's already locked in, Obey Alliance having the next pick means that you wanted to get rid of some of the options away from maniaKK. However, Obey Alliance having the last pick means that they're going to potentially see that counter matchup in the solo lane, unless he's electing to run the Terra in the solo lane, something that he hasn't really done too often, but I wouldn't surprise me knowing Obey Alliance is very flexible.
But I think no matter what, that should help maniaKK people to get pressured. Having the counter pick should almost always mean that you get the better end of that matchup.
Rom again for Ataraxia. Wasn't too successful in the later stages of the game, but was pretty accurate with the snipes. Picked up a couple kills there, specifically on iceicebaby. It is going to be a defensive Guardian, but not the Khepri, Geb, and HughZ. A similar draft here from Rival to their Game 2 success. Obey waiting for what is likely to be their solo pick. maniaKK has played a couple Guardians, and they've lost both games that he's played it. I expect there's going to be a Warrior, Tolly.
More than likely it should be. Hercules is still available. You have a lot of control with that pull-push combination. Terra's going to be able to root, stun. You're looking for more of these controls because you have the damage between the Rama, Morrigan, and Serqet. You just need more of that frontline presence that's able to control a lot of space.
Erlang Shen could also be a potential pick here. We saw Deathwalker pull that out in Game 1, though didn't find a whole lot of success in that area. You're right, Obey lacking a little bit of CC, but it is going to be a Guardian. Sobek here. You like this pick, Vetium?
Yeah, I think it's great for maniaKK. I'm not sure how its matchup is against the Cabrakan in solo, but I know for a fact Sobek's a very safe pick. I'm really interested to see how the Morrigan plays out, because the early game Krakens, where he transformed into Poseidon and then would Kraken somebody on Rival, I think the members of Rival are going to have to pick up Aegis, because if they go beads, then they're very vulnerable for that.
Well, who do you like in this game? You already like the draft. Who do you like?
I'm going to say Obey.
I got to split it this time with Vetium. I'm going to go Rival.
Someone's going to be wrong. The Analysts, these guys were on point the first 2 games, but one of them is going to take their first L. Casters, tell us who's going to win Game 3.
Well, technically, Vetium already took 2 Ls, so this will be his 3rd one.
True.
You can hear the crackles. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry. I had to, though. It was open for me.
You've not even casted that much with me yet, and you're doing that? That's rude.
Yeah, I've learned. You taught me.
That's rude. I guess I did a little bit.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Good job on calling yourself a monkey. That's a great start.
I mean, I've learned from Dig with that one.
Now, this game is very important for me in terms of what Callus plays, because Callus is now on Geb. He's been focused out a lot in the drafting phase. Fafnir, Athena, Ares bands all focused towards him. Not a massive amount of Geb played this season.
Yep.
He's a relatively safe god to be able to play, but the problem is that I expect Obey may try and punish him for having this pick now of maybe focus the Geb a little bit early game, put him behind maybe. We'll see.
I really like the strategy from Obey trying to ban out Callus, because during the regular SPL split, he basically played Fafnir and he played Khepri.
But the split isn't that long as well, so
Yep.
it's not. You could look at it and go, okay, he's not played it much, so how good is he on it? But to be fair, every good support player at this level should have a Geb in the pocket for situations like this.
I love the Stone Shield on Geb. It's so impactful, and if Callus can get a couple of good ones of those down, you know, when CaptainTwig's looking to ult someone, when PrettyPriMe transforms, maniaKK looks to pluck, it'll be very, very effective. I love it for keeping Wlfy safe, especially because Wlfy this game's going to play a little bit more close to the front line, being a Poseidon rather than the Vulcan we saw last game.
We're looking a little bit closer at the mid lane as well. PrettyPriMe played this Morrigan again, started off with the Aegis this time round. And Prime's going to have to be very careful, because if iceicebaby recognizes that, the Fear No Evils will be coming his way time and time again. It'll cause a lot of problems for Prime to be able to escape, because that stealth will be broken due to the Fear No Evil as well, even if he catches him coming.
We saw a lot of action in the Joy lane at the start last game, and EmilZy forced out a lot from the side of Rival. Have to see if we see that again. A lot of intermittent wave dancing around here from both Rival and Obey, but again, iceicebaby taking a lot of poke here at the start, and Obey getting the superior push and invading the speed buff.
Really good start for them over on the right-hand side and the left-hand side as well, because you can see Ataraxia and EmilZy got the push power in that lane. It was relatively even with Terra level 1 and Geb level 1. Both of them have really simplistic wave clear to an extent, so that just leaves the the Rama versus the Cernunnos.
I love the counter invade here coming out of Rival, but they just hit level 2. I was going to say, there was still level 1, could be very dangerous. Prime's in a little bit of trouble. Twig is around, though. Wlfy needs to be careful. Aegis burnt very early on here from the Poseidon. Good knockback. Twig still looking to try and find something here, but iceicebaby does a nice amount of damage.
Look at that somersault that iceicebaby did at the end there. It may have looked really awkward, but what he was doing, he was looking for the slow to make sure that CaptainTwig on that Serqet with the speed buff couldn't catch up and pick off Wlfy. Very good play out of iceicebaby, even though it goes underlooked.
Wlfy throwing down that whirlpool defensively. Invade here from the side of Rival in response to Obey Alliance. Looks like the Brahma Blast from Vote's going to be able to secure it, but Ataraxia actually dashed in. Kalas in a lot of trouble here. He's in the enemy jungle, forced to burn that meditation, but here comes Prime, and Vote says, well,
rest in peace.
I'm sorry, buddy.
Funny enough,
sorry.
I was a little bit worried EmilZy was going to try and steal that one away with a dash there. I'm glad they gave it over to PrettyPriMe in the mid lane, get him some items online earlier on, get his mobility up. We mentioned that he's only got Aegis at the start of this game, which means he's going to have to be careful of the Fear No Evils. They do secure that red buff of their own as well, which is very important to make sure that there was no experience gain there for Callis to make sure he could potentially have his rollout to get away.
Double Guardians here in the solo lanes. A Cabrakan for Deathwalker, Sobek for Maniac.
So dull. That lane is so dull. Just to sit and watch. The one thing that is good about the Sobek pick, though, is like you were saying off air, the knock-up does interrupt the tremors as well, but wave clear advantage is ever so slightly in Deathwalker's favor in the early game. It'll even out as this game goes on, though. Both of them going to be very hard to pick up. There is one benefit, though, that there is a Serqet on the side of Obey with CaptainTwig playing that. True damage does come into play.
Deathwalker invested early here into a Chalice, I believe. No, actually, no, he doesn't have that one. Maybe it's... Okay, he didn't have... No, it's...
So you were talking about Maniac, that's right.
I'm getting these teams mixed around, man.
It's okay. They're going to be switching up all day between the two. They're all Europeans, too, so they're the same, right?
Yeah.
Just like all Aussies are bad at Smite.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. It's all right, casters, though. Another story.
I don't know. We'll see.
What do
You see, you don't fire shots at other people. Have you learned that yet? I'm the one that fires shots. If you fire shots at other people...
I didn't fire shots at you. I fired shots at Vetium.
I protect everyone. What you don't seem to understand is that if somebody fires shots, I will defend the person getting fired shots at.
You haven't protected me. You fired shots at me yesterday.
I'm supposed to. You're part of the Commonwealth. Accept it. You're used to it. God save the Queen. Say it. Stand up and say it 5 times. Go on.
No.
Do it.
No.
The Queen will find out.
That's fine.
You know she will.
That's fine.
Oh, you've just ruined things for Australia. We're going to bomb you tomorrow.
I mean, you or North Korea, pick one.
Oh, choices. This is the sort of game we're going to expect, though, where we're going to have a lot of downtime where it's going to be focused on farming. It's a very chess match game. This is one of the classic European things that we've seen for quite a while, where it becomes a chess match, and that chess match is all who can be in the right position at the right time, who plays the map better on making sure they get the contestable objectives and finding those windows to invade and steal away. So far, it's all Obey at the moment.
And it's huge because Kalas, not even level 5 yet, so the Cataclysm is not online. Huge deficit between the supports here. EmilZy already level 6.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I said. Callis is going to have a very important game here for Team Rival because he's going to get focused early on if they can find it, especially with stuns like Prime was looking for in the mid lane there as well. Ends up finding Wlfy instead. She was a little bit late from Callis, actually. I think he was a bit surprised by that. He's going to be on his game today. Paul Callis is the one guy that I'm looking at where there's like problems. Well, there's problems in the jungle.
iceicebaby getting chased down by Twig. Terra's Blessing burnt by EmilZy as well. Baby in a lot of trouble here. Twig looking to find the kill. Here's Wlfy and Kalas. Good Cataclysm will save him for now, but PrettyPriMe, he's trapped. 2 Serqet ults come out, the Kraken as well. iceicebaby still somehow alive here, but not for long.
Prime does finally get the kill with the Serqet pickup, and the second Serqet is there as well, which is CaptainTwig. Prime with a double kill, the Morrigan. One of the first times we've really seen it get utilized by Prime well. I actually think Prime is one of those guys that is going to show you that Morrigan could be the most OP thing Smite has released.
Kalas getting the knock up there, just barely saving his life, but that's got to be tilting. I'm going to use that word here because double Serqet ult. How are you supposed to survive that?
You're not. That's the key. You saw what iceice did. He did everything perfectly. He got a shield out from Callis there, which absorbs some of the damage and the all-in potential. Then he followed that up with his own Aegis. Sorry, he didn't have Aegis at all. He did actually absorb some of that damage thanks to just being able to get away from it, but it wasn't enough to keep him alive at the end, and they still managed to all-in and find the kill.
And now Prime's up 3-0. All 3 kills for Obey going towards him, and you're saying how important it is to give this mid lane farm early, get that Morrigan to a stage where, you know, even though she's transforming maybe into Wlfy, who's a little bit behind, he's going to have the items online to make that Kraken really effective.
And Obey are one of these teams that should recognize now that Prime is fed in this mid lane. He's got 3 kills and a 2-level lead already. They have to protect the Morrigan. That's the game plan now, because Rival will have a target on his back this whole time going, Morrigan's the issue, we have to shut her down. But if you do that, you've got Serqet, who's going to be dancing around causing you problems. You're also going to have Rama free firing from the back line. And then you've got fantastic peel with the likes of the Terra and the Sobek to protect the PrettyPriMe even more on that Morrigan.
Mid lane push going in favor still of Obey Alliance. They've got themselves about a 2,000 gold lead here as well, and experience across the board seems to be very much in their advantage. Deathwalker, I think for me, still has the potential to bring this game back for rival Cabrakan, especially if he gets that Warlock stash online like he has been in the last few games. Can be absolutely devastating and be so hard for Obey to kill.
Now, Rival, what they need to be looking at doing is going back and getting some sentry wards for themselves now, because this Gold Fury is definitely a threat from Obey now. With how the last couple of engagements are going, the lead that Prime has in the mid lane is going to allow Obey to maybe hit the gas pedal and look towards this Gold Fury, especially with the Oracle being on cooldown now and the ward placements are very important around it. That's why you can see there's 2 sentries in the inventory of Obey right now, and 2 that have just come through thanks to Wlfy going back as well.
Yeah, the Oracle Harpies, the Gold Fury, those sites basically with a make and break last game and in the first game as well. And this is really the EU playstyle, is these objectives, these neutral camp objectives, controlling them and getting yourself that bonus farm essentially, because, you know, your buffs or the enemy buffs, you could trade them back and forth fine, but these neutral camps, there's no trading there. Either you get them or the enemy does.
Well, no one's going to get the speed buff other than Obey on the right-hand side, so that is stripped away from Rival as well. But Rival are looking to initiate the Gold Fury, knowing the rotation was coming. Terra has popped the ultimate early, Callus has popped the Cataclysm early as well, and the rotation from Obey is on.
Here comes Ataraxia, and this guy looking for the snipes. He's trying to find CaptainTwig. No, he's not. He's on his team, but he's trying to find Calas. And now Rival, they're turning this team fight on its head. Calas finally falls down to Ataraxia, and in jumps out jumps iceicebaby. And how did Rival win that fight?
Vote was amazing in that fight. The Cernunnos play was fantastic from him to get a big wild hunt off on the engagement from Obey. It slowed down that front line of Twig and Prime trying to go in and go for the kill. Obey, though, managed to disengage well enough, and that's just going to force a reset for the time being. Neither team's going to feel strong enough to go for the Gold Fury, especially because respawns are a lot lower right now because it is still early game.
One thing I noticed there from Obey, and this is such a strong part of their team composition, is they can invade on the right-hand side and get back over to the Gold Fury in a hurry because of that Terra's Blessing and the extra movement speed it provides, as well as just the general movement speed that CaptainTwig has on this Serqet.
Definitely, but don't underestimate the power of the mobility for both these two teams. As iceicebaby's forced to beat, sits in the whirlpool, though, to continue giving out some damage to Twig. And EmilZy's on the way again. Great root walls come down too. Good shield from Callus, and still EmilZy's causing problems.
He doesn't even get knocked up there thanks to his passive. PrettyPriMe jumps in
Serqet.
as the Serqet just turns immediately to Deathwalker, hits him with a last breath, trying to find the kill onto the Cabrakan here. CaptainTwig, as the other Serqet dashes forward and picks up the kill onto the solo.
And it's so difficult. It's easy to keep track of one god, right? But trying to keep track of 2 of the same god, which one still got the ultimate up? Which one still got cooldowns available? I don't know! Kill one of them and hope for the best. But the problem is that it's very tricky to try and look at a team fight when they look exactly the same and go, oh, is it this guy? Let me just read his nameplate real quick.
Yep.
Okay, that's Prime. So Prime's ult is on cooldown. Oh, wait a second. He's back to the Morrigan again. Where is he? He's stealth. That's a clone. Oh, no, I'm dead again because he's hit me in the back.
Now, I'm stunned as well. There's a stun in that kit as well for the Morrigan. So powerful. A lot of CC online for Obey Alliance in this game. Yet again, though, we're still seeing Obey kind of put this stranglehold onto Rival like we saw in the first game. Rival, though, seemed to be a little bit more responsive in this game than in the first one. They seemed to kind of just accept that it was happening in the first game. This third game, I should say, a lot more proactive rather than reactive.
To be honest, though, but it's still a grind for Obey, and they are winning the war of attrition once again. This has been the story of Game 1, the story of Game 2, and it looks like it could go the way of Game 3 once more. If Obey just continue to do this and win these objectives time and time again, these little team fights, the skirmish there didn't really work out in anyone's favor. The gold lead is still there for Obey, the Gold Fury being available, and the problem is now is the Portal Demon's coming up.
There's the Fear No Evil out of iceicebaby. Kraken as well onto Prime. Does a lot of damage here, but it's not enough to pick up the kill. Now Iceice, here's CaptainTwig, and he's going to get his second kill of the game. Wild Hunt comes out as well. Calas is a pig. He's in some trouble here. There's the Whirlpool coming out from Wlfy, but Calas trapped in the pit. Ataraxia says no escape for you, and now Wlfy's the next target. CaptainTwig picks up another kill in this one, and Rival, they are falling to pieces.
Like you said, you thought they were trying to fight back into it a little bit more. From my angle, I'm pretty sure this is still Obey in the driving seat now. now. Look at how quickly the ultimates are being used by Obey to follow up. Ataraxia is popping his ult for damage, not for escape, not to secure a kill, to get extra damage out onto these targets to allow the double Serqet combination to come through and win them the fights by getting them low enough for that to spread and force Rival to run for the hills.
I think that was really the last chance Rival are going to have in this game, except if they get a lead, to be very proactive. From now on, they have to kind of play back a little bit, make sure they secure the safe farm, not fall too far behind. If they look to make too many of these team fights, they're going to lose them. If they can find an individual pick here or there, that's their way back into this game.
And go back to that fight just that happened before the initial engagement from Obey and the Wlfy. It was Rival that went aggressive in the mid lane there. Ice jumps over the wall, gets a good Fear No Evil off onto Prime, but Wlfy's not close enough to follow up the Kraken immediately. And that bought Prime enough of a window to get his Aegis off to absorb the Kraken. And once those two combinations of the Fear No Evil and Kraken are down, a lot of the team fight capability out of Rival goes out the window, and it forces rotations out of Deathwalker and Vote to try and support that squad, as it's Obey that get a counter-initiation opportunity.
And they have to play so far back, so safe and carefully. Now, we saw them looking at the portal team. They didn't even start it up because they didn't know where Obey was, and they didn't want to risk it at all. CaptainTwig hiding around the wall here. Rival have to be still very careful here. Twig jumping over. He's looking for Wlfy, but Smitely doesn't dash in too hard.
No, he just waited to see what would happen if he goes in and looks for a bit of aggression there. Dances through, knowing he's got support from his team if he needs to. Plus, it can cause a distraction because then PrettyPriMe could turn into Serqet and do it again. And then you've got real problems.
That's just got to do your head in as a player. 2 Serqets.
Oh, yeah. You managed to kill one,
Disgusting.
and then another one comes out, and you're like, really?
Yeah. You survive the initial burst as well. You survive the first ultimate. You're like, clean. I'm out. Let's go, boys. And then another one jumps on you. I can't imagine how to deal with that.
I will say, though, what Prime's been doing on this Morrigan has looked fantastic today because his actual choice selection of who he's turning into has been relatively different based on the situation he's found himself in time and time again. He's been going for Fear No Evils in the early game last set when he was playing the Morrigan because he realized that was more impactful than some of the other gods he could have turned into as time went on, like Vulcan, for example. He could have gone for Vulcan, chose not to because Vulcan's damage in the early game, not the same as a late game Vulcan, so he went for the Fear No Evil, which is going to be fantastic for team fights. This game, though, looking for the double Serqet options time and time again. The extra mobility gets him away from danger, but not only that, he can turn it around and put a lot of damage out onto Team Rival.
Exactly. At the moment, Obey are looking for picks rather than big all-in fights. As this game goes on, I'm expecting we might see him turn into the Cernunnos, maybe even the Poseidon. Could potentially see a Cabrakan just to get some walls out there for Obey and a lot of damage.
But you talk about the all-in potential from Obey here. They've not really been going all-in, but look at the kill participation out of EmilZy and PrettyPriMe. They've been involved in every single kill so far that Obey have had. It shows that the focus has been around this mid-lane transition with the support. Those two have been paired up together pretty much. They're like peas in a pod. Look at them both in the mid lane now, PrettyPriMe and EmilZy. I think those two are going to stay linked all game, and EmilZy recognizes, like I was saying earlier, that with Prime getting this lead, they have to defend Prime and make sure he's supported throughout, so Rival can't answer back and shut down this mid.
Deathwalker has got his Warlock stash online, 23 stacks onto that one now, so he's going to, we said last game was a bit of a ticking time bomb. Maybe not a time bomb in this game, but maybe a path back into this one. If he can find a couple of nice picks, if he can get into these team fights and contribute a little bit, maybe things start to turn positively for Team Rival. But Twig looks like he wants to shut down this Cabrakan. But a good use of the one ability there for Deathwalker gets him out of trouble.
Yeah, you saw Maniac use Lurking in the Waters trying to slow down Deathwalker there, but immediately Deathwalker responds by using his one ability, which will allow him to get an extra speed boost and not be slowed whatsoever, which causes problems for Serqet to rotate around and over the Fire Giant.
It's so scary when a Cabrakan runs at you with that ability. He's so fast. He's just huge as well.
And it causes so many problems for the actual back line of Obey because they have to deal with this guy and use CC on him to shut him down. And it's not CC like roots, it's more CC like stuns that have to come out to make sure that Cabrakan doesn't get and focus your squishies.
That was a big play there from EmilZy. Forced both the Aegis out of Wlfy and the Stone Shield out of Calas there. So importantly, that relic's going to be down for the next engagement that Rival take.
Well, the next engagement is around the Portal Demon here because Obey are trying to force a fight. It feels like Twig on the front line and EmilZy popping the ultimate. They may not find picks here.
Huge
they may go for the Portal Demon. No, change of plan.
That's a big route there from EmilZy. Snipes through from Ataraxia, doing a lot of damage. Fear No Evil comes out as well, but Rival are the ones copping the L on this one. Vote falls down already to maniaK. In jumps PrettyPriMe as that Serqet looking for Deathwalker. Iceicebaby is the target. He managed to jump away. Wlfy and Calas very low as well, but the Portal Demon is going to fall to Obey as they force away Rival handily.
But look at what Obey's doing in these team fights. They're forcing Rival to spread in all different directions. They're not allowing Rival to get a big AoE group up. They're forcing 2 or 3 members to one side, 2 or 3 members to the left-hand side as well. This is making sure that the AoE circles that is so powerful for Rival's composition can't be utilized at the same time and have this turn around. And this is all because of the double Serqets they're using. You don't want to stay around your teammates when the poison's on and they're potentially going to die, because if it spreads, you guarantee that you lose even more members than you would have if you just let that one guy fall down.
I've never seen this build on a Rama that Ataraxia is playing right now. Transcendence Rama.
He's done it a couple of times before, and this is just what he likes. I believe I was talking to EmilZy, and EmilZy was like, yeah, Nate really likes playing this Transcendence Hunter on Rama. I don't say anything about it, and he's like, listen, I'm pretty sure Nate said to him, listen, I don't want to explain it, I can't explain it, but I really like it. So that's the reason he's playing it.
I mean, it's working out so far, and we're seeing him hit those snipes in his ultimate, doing so much damage from them. And as he said before, he's not looking to secure kills, he's not looking to use it as an escape, but looking just to do damage so that when PrettyPriMe goes in a Serqet, or when CaptainTwig goes in on that Serqet as well, just to have an easier time to clean up the fights. And that's really what's crazy, is that Obey's winning these fights, not with these huge area effect abilities, not with these huge team fighting ultimates, but just taking down members solo and then picking them off one at a time.
And most of this is because they've forced Callus onto a pick like Geb, where he's not going to be able to get as impactful or be as strong as he would like to be in the future. Because what generally Geb wants to do is sit with his team and protect them as best he can. But if the team fight's getting split, Geb's not as useful to being able to impact it as much as he would like to. The Cataclysm can only be used to defend a couple. The shield can only defend one on the other team fight. He can't get involved in as much. So that's why they shut down the Fafnir. That's why they shut down as well his Athena. He can't make as much of an impact, and it's forcing problems for Rival.
EmilZy's done such a great job of baiting out Relics, baiting in Rival into team fights. There's the overhand smash. Kraken comes out. EmilZy's still alive. He doesn't even get knocked up there thanks to his passive. Ataraxia is here, and he's dealing out death left and right. Good Cataclysm for Kalas as well, but the Wild Hunt comes out from Vote. CaptainTwig finds Wlfy. The snipes coming out from Ataraxia as well. Obey Alliance looking to take down Rival.
And there's not much we can see coming out from Rival to defend against this as well. The second ult comes through from Prime of that Serqet, and it's a double kill for Twig as the tier 1 in mid will be sieged. We'll say though, Kalas had a fantastic Cataclysm there, but what the issue was is that Wlfy, he had no other choice than to run back towards his teammates for defense, because if he tried to run to the left-hand tier 1 tower, the tier 2 tower, the chase potential out of Obey with that Terra on their squad and that ultimate that's going to give him the extra mobility, as well as 2 Serqets, he wasn't going to get away, so he had to come back to his squad, which meant it wasn't good enough to get him out of the danger.
Deathwalker hasn't been in this game at all. 0, 1, and 0. He was just proxy farming over on the right-hand side, and that's what Obey's done really well, is they force the fights before Deathwalker can even get in there.
This has been, let Deathwalker do what he wants in the solo lane, we don't care about him.
Yep.
Let's focus on the rest of the objectives. Let's make sure Wlfy in the mid lane doesn't get going on Poseidon too much here. He's still not got his Gem of Isolation on right now, he's still working towards that, whereas his lane opposition PrettyPriMe, Book of Tough and Spear of Desolation, and I tell you what, in the late game, Morrigan can really swing and do a lot more damage than you expect.
I would have liked to see Wlfy maybe more on a Thoth than this Poseidon. As I said, he just has to get in too close to this Serqet, even to Prime, who can transform into Serqet or into a Sobek or anything like that to deal damage. From Thoth, he can play a little bit back, deal out his damage from a distance, and he's a little bit safer as well, a little bit more escapability on the Thoth.
He can, but at the same time, you've got the likes of Serqet, who is very, very good at getting to the backline here as well. Sobek, you can't really stop him getting to the backline either with the tail whip. He can go for the pluck as well. It would have been a similar situation with whatever. The one benefit he gets from the Poseidon pick, though, is those whirlpools. Yeah. That cripple effect on the Serqet, that cripple effect on the Sobek does stop the potential of them going for him in the backline, but it's still not going to be enough to shut him down.
The thing for me as well is that Poseidon is so difficult to play from behind, at least Thoth.
Definitely.
You know you've got a big late game coming, but with a Poseidon, if you're struggling to get to that stage, if you're struggling to be ahead, how impactful are your Whirlpools? How impactful are your Krakens?
Well, the good news is because he's going for the Gem of Isolation anyway, he's going to become more of a control mage. His job in this fight is going to be trying to CC them up, slow them down from the engagements, and sit very far back. He won't get a huge amount of burst damage off or any highlight reel kills, I'll say, for the time being, but it will allow him to be okay. Deathwalker's alone and Deathwalker's dead.
He's in a lot of trouble here. Prime going in. Deathwalker so much damage. The Stone Shield saves him for now, but maniaKK flips him back into the wall. There's the Kraken out of Wlfy. Doesn't even knock up EmilZy. Up in the sky goes Ataraxia. 1 snipe, 2 snipe, 3 snipe. Wlfy, you're dead. Kalas, you're next on the menu.
Meanwhile, look at what Rival are trying to do on the map, because there's not much else they can do. Vote, split push to the left-hand side, takes a tier 1. That's why Obey committed so heavily to that fight, knowing that they can make better wins out of it. They won't lose the tier 2 as well, thanks to maniaKK being very, very aware, getting that teleport through in time.
Deathwalker went for the Heart of the Urchin here, which is usually an alright pick, but when your team's not getting any kills and you're not even in the fights, I question this item choice. iceicebaby gets the Phenom Weevil off before he dies, but all that does is delay the Fire Giant that Obey is inevitably going to take.
Yeah, I like the idea from iceice there. He was like, let's try and make a play because we realize this one is going quickly against us. There's not a whole lot we can really do about that, so we're just going to have to, you know, accept the loss. But if I can find a Phenom Weevil, maybe kill one or two of them so they don't have the Fire Giant, or maybe sneak it away, then maybe we've got a window back into this.
Right-hand side, Tier 2 Tower 4's Golden Experience just all in favor of Obey Alliance by a decent chunk at the moment, 12,000 gold at least, so you can see the level difference across the board. No level 20s yet for Obey, but they're starting to get towards that stage with maniaKK and Ataraxia.
This is not a problem to be not level 20. I mean, the fights have been pretty consistent out of them, but because when they've been fighting, they've not been farming. They do go and get the objectives after, which gives them the gold, and it allows them to continue this lead. Look at how many items lead they've got over there. They're approaching their 6 items, where some of the members of Rival have only just finished their 4th.
Yeah, Deathwalker is still in some trouble. He is very tanky though, so he'll be all right for now. Going to be pretty difficult to take down. Ataraxia though, straight to the backline. Good Cataclysm into the Kraken, but an Aegis will save Ataraxia's life. Deathwalker's still alive. Wild Hunt comes out from Vote. EmilZy taking some damage now. Ataraxia from the backline with a snipe. Can he find Wlfy? No, he's just off on the last one. Rival actually doing very well in this team fight for themselves. maniaK's taking some damage, but iceicebaby's caught. iceicebaby's dead.
And now it's just a push from Obey because Rival used their whole load trying to get down some of these kills and keep themselves alive. That means they can't hold up the Phoenix here. You saw the Cataclysm Kraken combo looking for Ataraxia there. That was just on a single target trying to make something happen for themselves. But the Phoenix down being in mid lane means that Obey have got pressure in the mid lane for free, with a couple of free towers in the left-hand side to take as well.
2 towers on the left, 1 tower on the right, 2 Phoenixes still left up for Team Rival, so a fair amount of structures for them, but that just means for Obey, a whole lot of free gold in the bank, basically.
This is really coming down, though, to how both teams start off the game. There's no real change around here. It's all focused on objective play. You saw Rival last game. They got a small window of a win. They continue to pressure the objectives and find the wins there. Both these teams are playing exactly the same style. There is a chance, though, that if picks and bans go wrong for Rival, they're out of the tournament next game. So maybe they look to switch things up a little bit, knowing that Obey are going to run the same thing back again.
That was a really good route there from Vote, prevented EmilZy from dashing forward and rooting Wlfy in there, and that could have been the death of Poseidon in the end of the game. Tier 2 tower on the left-hand side is going to fall, so there's a lot of gold in the hands of Obey Alliance right now after they've taken that gold figure as well. I think their plan right now is get out, back, buy some items, and then look for the final push.
Yeah, they could look for at least the tier 2 on the right-hand side as well. The Phoenixes are available. Even if they do go back to base now, there's enough time left on the Fire Giant to get back to this fight as well, where Rival are just happy to push out lanes and try and get a little bit farm for themselves right now. The level disparity is the biggest thing for me. I know gold is huge, but the level disparity, it's just base stats that are free. It's extra damage from your abilities. It's extra cooldown on some of your abilities as well that just makes such an impact in these engagements where Obey have everything up a little bit more often. They also have a little bit more survivability the whole time, and then you add in items.
The side lanes for Team Rival just have had no impact this game, and that's a really big thing to me, is Deathwalker and Vote, 2 of the strongest players on Team Rival, and if they can't get into this game, then obviously, I mean, we're seeing what happens when they can't get into a game. It's just trouble for Rival.
Definitely, and it feels like it's core versus core as well. It's all about whether the core of Obey, which is their jungle support and mid laner, can outplay the core support of Rival, and that's exactly what's been going on this game.
Wlfy in some trouble here. CaptainTwig doing so much damage. He's still alive somehow. Ataraxia says not for long. Good route there by CaptainTwig, but it keeps him out of the snipe. Ataraxia gets the final one. Down comes the Kraken. Obey Alliance.
Kraken.
Yeah, on the right-hand side. Going to take that tier 2 tower. Now they're going to push it to a Phoenix. Let's ride along with them as they look to end this game.
Yeah, they don't even have a Kraken now. They're gonna get the Cerny.
I'm a Capra.
I didn't use anything.
Oh, fuck.
Open the back.
Bad jump. Capra. What the fuck? Why do we have a depth, dude?
Oh shit, I'm getting fucked, dude.
Have we got Cern?
Yo, alright guys, can we just talk about that fight? How long? Why did no one fucking kill those Cabra walls?
I don't know.
Come on, boys, get together.
I can't
We had
do.
to win our boys.
No. We got spam CC.
Don't.
I don't have fun.
I got no get it.
Back in. Back in.
Shit.
What a bad dude.
What
I don't care.
What
I'll be back now.
No, go ahead.
Well, there you have it. Obey are going to take this game. You even saw PrettyPriMe turn into Geb at one point in this one as well. But I feel like what I heard in comms there, HughZ, you heard Ataraxia, even though they're having fun, he was still like, hey, come on, guys. Like, why was that? What the hell? Like, why are Cabrakan more still? Get rid of those. Like, we might still be winning this and we've won it, but let's just play properly, you know?
They're always looking to improve. They're always looking at their games, even when they're playing them, picking apart the little mistakes and fixing them up. And that's what makes this such a good team. And that's the key word. Team.
And now it's 2-1 in favor of Obey. Rival are back to the drawing board again. Rival are now in do or die situation. There is no more extra games for them. They're gonna have to win both these next 2 in a row. Obey just need one of the 2.
And you know, if Rival, they're a smart team. They scrim Obey a lot. They scrim a lot of these European teams a lot. They definitely have strategies up their sleeve. It's whether they can pull them out. Analysts, over to you.
Thank you very much, guys. Game 3 goes the way of Obey in a pretty dominant fashion. All these games seem to be going pretty one-sided here. Is that a sign that these teams are very evenly matched? What does this mean whenever teams are blowing each other out back-to-back?
It really means that they both have good enough strategies. And I think in this game, I think second pick has been the deciding factor because Obey chose that first game, then Rival chose it, now Obey chose it. I think next game we're going to see Rival choosing second pick to try to get the next game. Second
pick has definitely been, like you mentioned, all 3 teams, all 3 games, the second pick position has won. Totally, is it that simple? Is it just get second pick, win the game?
I mean, it definitely helps getting the second pick to have that last counter matchup. So Sobek was locked in the double guardian between the Terra. Sobek was good enough control actually for the late game damage coming out of Obey Alliance because they got through the early game by using that Morrigan on PrettyPriMe. You know, the double Serqet ultimates paid off dividends for Obey.
It was so cool to watch how PrettyPriMe plays this god. Always seems to be at the right spot at the right time with those ultimates. And normally, guys, we do player replays, right? We're like, let's take a look at what Ataraxia did this game. Not this time. Let's take a look at what Serqet did this game, whether it's PrettyPriMe or CaptainTwig. That double last breath just so difficult to deal with.
Absolutely. It's just like if you survive the first one, how are you possibly going to survive the second one? Especially considering iceicebaby playing the Hunbats opted for the early purification beads instead of the Aegis. Didn't really respect the potential of that double Serqet ult.
And you were calling for the Aegis early on, Vetium, but I think if that were the case, then PrettyPriMe may have just consistently transformed into Hunbats. That's the whole thing about Morrigan is that you try and counter her one way, she'll just do something else instead.
Yeah, also this game especially, it didn't even matter because CaptainTwig would go on people, get their beads, PrettyPriMe would do the exact same thing and kill them. It didn't matter whether they had beads or Aegis, they died no matter what to that double Serqet.
So if you're sitting in the picks and if you're trying to pick and ban for these teams, it's clear that Cernunnos is very highly prioritized. Vote was top damage near the end of that game, even despite losing for the majority of it. Vulcan has been clearly heavily prioritized. But is it time to start taking away the Morrigan from PrettyPriMe?
I'd say no. I'd say they would want to keep that Serqet in check. I'd make sure that is banned or picked for Rival in this case. Although Obey could first pick it, I think they have better things in mind.
Totally.
Serqet was really powerful, but double Serqet is just that much more detrimental. Not to mention you can also go the Hunbats for more control. I feel like Morrigan was a huge staple for Obey Alliance in that third game, so heading into game number 4, I wouldn't be surprised if Rival take that away.
Well, game 4, Rival definitely needs a big performance from their jungler, iceicebaby, who we talked about a lot coming into this set. Did very, very well in game 2 on that Hunbats. Game 3, got kind of punished between the double Serqets, but this is a confident kid who knows that he can play this game at a high level. Let's take a listen to what the jungler has to say.
We're team Rival, like the jungler, iceicebaby. So my competitive background has been pretty much this team since season 3. We formed a team and well, that's my whole career. I think we just weren't as consistent. Turning point was pretty much us like doing what we do in scrims, transitioning that into actual games that mattered. I think at the beginning of season 4 we were a bit worried, should I say. We weren't performing as we should have been. That's why we had a really rough start in the online phase, but I'm happy that we actually made it work for LAN. Worried maybe the NA teams, because we're not really too familiar with the meta they play, but overall we've been just like preparing to beat everyone, like no one in particular. Everyone's pretty strong. Our preparations has been like always, we just scrim a lot, and it's been a really fun week because, well, it was a new patch, so we had to, you know, test some stuff out, and everything really went really smoothly. So I'm pretty happy with our preparation. I think we have really good chances of going further. I do go out with some friends from time to time, and well, I have lots of types of fun. We usually play a lot of different games with my teammates, so we're like really good friends outside of the game as well. I think that's why we became so good this season.
Playing with your friends outside of the game of Smite, and your teammates as well, how important is that, Vetium, for a team environment?
It's less so about playing with your friends. It's just about being close with each other, being friends, getting along, having the right personalities that mesh with each other. I think Rival has done a great job in finding those 5 personalities, or 6, even including their coach, that really just mesh together. They really just love each other. That's why they have been sticking together for so long.
Being comfortable in those awkward silences is what truly makes a great relationship, and I'm sure that you guys at SOAR have it. Rival definitely have it, sticking together from Season 3 and Season 4. Losing that last game probably puts a little dent in their momentum after winning the second one, but I'm sure that their coach, Alpha Jackal, is making the necessary adjustments.
And this is a confident team, Rival. We say it all the time, specifically for iceicebaby in that jungle. You've got a very confident teammate. HughZ is one of the most confident guys in the league. Is that helpful to have a guy be like, you know, it doesn't matter what they're doing, we're just going to win because we're the best?
See you in second place. No, really, yeah. I think all of us, we're all confident together, to be honest. Like,
Sure.
at this point, we haven't been teaming with each other for that long, but we're used to each other, we trust each other. And even though we didn't put up a great performance yesterday, we know that this is the best roster we can get, this best roster that we think we can be better than we are. And that's what I always want my teammates to think, because then you can, even when you're losing, you can improve, and then once you get to this top, you can keep improving.
Well, right now it's the Rival trying to get back to the top, at least, or back to even with Obey in this set in particular. Game 4 going to be coming at you soon here between Obey and Rival. These two teams have really are on different paths, I would say. Obey, they get second at last year's Worlds, they make a couple roster changes, but they come back better than ever, dominating during the entire online portion. Rival also started off rocky, I should say, during the online portion, and have just been on a rocket ship to the top basically ever since this Gauntlet land started. Which would you rather be on, Tolly? The team that's been consistently really strong all split long, or the one that's on the meteoric rise?
Well, you're taking two teams from different spectrums completely, but now they're grouped up here in the middle. They're basically facing off against each other, and they're doing a good job maintaining the balance. Obey Alliance, a slight edge currently, having more LAN experience, I think will take them over the top, at least for the long haul. Rival, they get some wins under their belt, but the question is, can they perform in these long, drawn-out best-of-5 sets?
Yeah, I don't